So we're going to go over a technique that we can use to help Banjo get a little bit more comfortable, with people he doesn't know. So go ahead. All right, so what we're doing is we don't want to have the person grab Banjo because that's going to cause him to freak out. So the handler, somebody that is familiar with him, should pick him up and put him in the person's lap. Now this should be someone, like I mentioned off camera, that should be very calm, not super loud, not a lot of frantic energy. Want to be nice and calm. Now you can see him, is he licking his lips?
He was a second ago.
So that's a sign of stress, and he's looking away from me. Now I kind of twirled the leash here because he has a tendency to really leap away. So I want to hold him with one of my hands around his chest and the other one on the leash to 2 points of contact to prevent him from running away. Now what I am not doing is caressing him, talking to him, or doing anything like that. If I want, I can touch, but they should even probably not do the touch. I would show them this video so they kind of know how to behave. So, and then you would sit there on a different, don't sit next to each other on the couch, sit like across, and then just have a conversation. Now, I would start this off by doing kind of what we did in the first video, where you wrap the leash around the person's foot, and he just has to sit there next to him. And then I would use the indicator of the treats. So I would put the treat, first of all, put him down, have him wrapped around the person's foot, about no longer than a foot away, and just ignore him. Once he lays down, that's your indicator. So if he doesn't lay down, there might be 1 or 2 trips where the person comes over and he doesn't sit or lie down. All they do is he just practices being near him. Now, if you go like longer than 15 minutes, he hasn't laid down, 20 minutes max, then maybe I would pull the plug at that point and have the person take off. And again, don't make a big deal out of it, but it's just like, hey, I came over, that person was here, I had to be right next to him, but nothing bad happened. Now, once he starts lying down, then we're going to use the treats like we did, and that's our indicator that we know he's a little bit calmer. We're going to do that so the treats get him closer and closer to the human. Once he's taking the treats, and we can get him to come and take the treat that's like maybe an inch away from the human's shoe, even better if you put it on top of the shoe and he'll take it. I don't think he'll do that right away. Eventually he will. And then at that point, then I would have you pick him up, have him put him in a person's lap. Now the person should be ready for this, so they should go to the bathroom first. They should get a good drink of water so they don't have to constantly be moving around. You can see when I'm moving around, that kind of is a little bit of spooky for him. So we want the person just to be able to sit kind of calmly, quietly, and for him just to be exposed to them with nothing bad happening. Now, if he eventually lays down in their lap, that's even better. It looks like he's about halfway doing it, but at first you're going to have your hand around him to make sure that he doesn't go away. We don't want to be squeezing or restraining. I guess you have to do a little bit of restraining. But if by the time you put him on your lap, he shouldn't be in that panic mode. So if he's constantly trying to flip and get away, then rep it, putting the leash under the person's foot. So he is a lot more relaxed than when I first came in, and especially be on top of my lap. Normally he would be next. You said that occasionally he will sit next to you on the couch next to somebody else after he gets to know him. He's known me for maybe an hour, hour and a half, and I haven't really been doing much petting, but he is a lot more comfortable. He's not breathing heavy, he's not shaking, and the fact that he's laid down, he's not trying to run away or launch himself off like he did. So eventually this should allow him to get more and more comfortable, and that's another good thing that we're looking for. Is he aware of his surroundings? Or if he does some self-grooming, he's scratching himself or licking himself, those are also really good indicators because those tell me I'm comfortable, tell us as a dog is comfortable enough to, take the time to do that. If you're in a petrified state, you don't fix your hair. You're just worried about that, and that's all you're worried about. Now the last little thing that you can do that's really helpful, we're going to go through a little walking exercise here in a minute. I'm going to show you how you can keep him walking next to you rather than front, because I think that's part of why he's a little insecure, is to take him for a walk with the person. So the person shows up, you have him on a leash or put him on a leash, you all go out for a walk. So what I would do is walking away from the house, and this doesn't have to be a super long walk, maybe a block. As you're walking away from the house, you're keeping the leash, and maybe the dog's on your right side and the human's on your left. Then eventually you move the human maybe a third of the way in the walk. You move the human so the dog is up between the two of you. And then what we do is when you get to the halfway point, I would give the leash to the guest, and the guest should be watching you the first part of it so he knows how to do the interaction. And then he or she leads the dog back to the house. Then we come in, then we do the leash on the floor, and then eventually you pick up the dog and put it in the lap. I'm guessing if you're doing this, I would try to do this once a day if possible, and different people if possible. But the more often you do it, the faster he's going to rehabilitate. But I would guess if you could do this every day or more than once a day, I would guess within a week, maybe 2 weeks top, he's going to be a lot more comfortable around people. So, yeah, you look nice and relaxed, buddy. I like the eyes. He gave me a little eye contact. He's looking around. I wouldn't say he's completely relaxed, but this is by far the most relaxed he's been since I've been here. And again, it's doing it on my lap. So this is probably not the most exciting video to watch. He's a very cute dog, but eventually he's going to create a positive association with people. Once that's the case, then they can actually give him a treat. But another thing is occasionally they can hold their hand out like this, not try to pet him, but just kind of put it near him. What we do is watch him. Are his nostrils flaring? Is he leaning forward trying to sniff or lick? If he does, those are good things. We want him to interact. And dogs meet through their nose, through scent. So that's the preferred way that we want. Right now, I think the problem that he has is he's meeting through eye contact, through sight, and that's panicking for him. It's just too much, and so he just growls and barks and runs away because he doesn't know how to deal with it. So by gradually getting him used to and exposed to new people and making it a positive situation, or at least not necessarily positive, but not a negative, he's going to get more confident with it, and eventually he's not going to have so much of a problem. And eventually he'll be like, can we get some people around here? That's when, when they're comfortable, then they can start giving him a treat. It'll probably be like the person will probably have to be there and go through this with him 2, 3, or 4 times before he's comfortable enough to take a treat. That was good. He came forward. Once he's able to take a treat, and he takes a treat, then I would kind of give him a second and then let him go down. And then I can drag the leash around and doesn't have to be under the person's foot. Now, if he starts to growl or shows that antisocial behavior, then he comes right back and then we put him underneath the person's leash. Unless he's super animated and he's really, really upset, then that would be a situation that we would want to wait for a pause and then take him away. Now, you can also set him up for success by taking him out for a long walk about an hour before. We want to give him at least a 15-minute recovery period before the guest arrives. But burning off excess energy is going to make him a lot more compliant. So, Banjo, what do you say, buddy? Yeah, you look comfortable. This is the first time I'm petting you. And he's not startled every time I touch him, which normally he would jerk every time I did. So this is me and Banjo. We're working on getting him used to building up his confidence around people he doesn't know. And through this method, I would guess, like I said, within a week or 2 weeks tops, you should see a noticeable improvement to the point where you might call me up and say, David, he's not afraid of people anymore. Right, buddy? All right.